9 p.m. in Art. This time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have Djibouti takes part in the work of the General Assembly of the International Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The launch of the tree planting campaign in Djibouti. For the international scene, 100 bandits killed in air strikes in Nigeria. Welcome to our newsroom, opening of the plenary session of the annual meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The international mega mess of the annual meeting of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund opened its doors in Marrakesh in a sumptuous setting. A veritable constellation of stars from the world of finance and economics were on hand for the event. The meeting of the financial and economic elite attracted eminent figures from 190 countries, and even a delegation from Djibouti took part in this global high mass. The aim of this big meeting was to proclaim loud and clear the urgent need to reform multilateralism while avoiding any change to the foundations of global cooperation. Recent economic, social, and political upheaval have highlighted the need to modernize the institutions and rules governing multilateralism. In the face of these daunting challenges, the general consensus was to advocate solutions on a global scale in a spirit of unity, mutual respect, while emphasizing the enrichment that comes from diversity and keeping an eye on the particularity of each country and regions. Finally, the importance of rethinking and improving the global finance systems to make it fairer and more inclusive was underlined, and the annual meetings were identified as the ideal venue from a constructive debate on this overhaul through meetings of the stars. The Minister of Finance takes part in the Small State Forum in Marrakesh after the plenary sessions of the Assembly of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund. The Minister of Economy and Finance, Ilyas Moussa Douale, took part in the Small States Forum. At the heart of these discussions was the setting up of an improved resilience programs for small states. The Small States Forum is much more than just an international meeting. It is an essential platform for high-level dialogue where small states share their development concern with 15 members in total, including 42 countries considered by the World Bank to be small states with a population of 1.5 million or less, as well as 8 other members with a population greater than 1.5 million, but sharing similar challenges. The SSF is a force in its own right. It is currently led by Mr. Leompo Namgai, chairing Bhutan's finance ministers at this stimulating forum. The finance ministers shared their concern about the small size of their economies and their vulnerability to external shocks. The small states are far from uniform, with huge differences in population, income levels, geography, and other characteristics that translate into the wide variety of development realities. In Morocco, 48 countries call for accelerated financing of Africa's emergence to achieve their development ambitions. The Minister of 48 African countries are calling for a stronger business climate, improving climate governance, and funding for infrastructure development, which is holding back development on the continent. These are just a few points from the Marrakesh declarations adopted at the end of the ministerial meeting held in Morocco on October 12, 2023, on the sidelines of the annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank Group, working towards a sustainable African co-emergence driven by infrastructure investment, stepping up, joining joint efforts to strengthen the business climate and encouraging the implementation of a climate governance model in a spirit of cooperation. These are just a few of the commitment to accelerate the emergence of the African continent that emerged from the Marrakesh Declarations adopted on October 12, 2023, meeting at the high-level ministerial meetings on accelerating the financing of Africa's emergence. 48 African ministers reiterated the imperative need to commit to the continent's growth priority, which respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the African states and contribute to the development of its population. The prefect of the Djibouti city, Abdi Sikiye, has launched a tree planting campaign in the capital in collaboration with the local authorities and with the participation of the residents of the various thoroughfares. Over 200 trees were planted this morning on the capital's main thoroughfares in collaboration with the local authorities. The preliminary work began on Thursday, 12 October 2023, in accordance with the outcomes of the meeting held the previous day at the Prime Minister's office. Since then, the sub-prefect of the districts have been hard at work pursuing the work with the president of the commune over 3 consecutive days. The necessary means have been mobilized by the prefecture of Djibouti City to carry out the planting of these 200 trees on Saturday, 14 October 2023. The 6th sub-prefect of the district and the president of the Tree commune proceeded to the plant of 200 trees on the main arteries under the direct supervision of the prefect of the city, Abdi Sikiye. These planting operations were carried out as follows: 33 planting were planted around the outlet files in the commune of Rastika. 100 trees were planted in the commune of Bulaus, including 15 on Avenue Nasser and 15 on the road of Nelson Mandela. 70 trees were planted in the route of Dorale in the commune of Balbala. And the participant stressed that the importance of this tree planting campaign, which is designated to improve the quality of life in the capital, and urged the inhabitants of Djibouti City and Balbala to take part in this campaign, which was initiated following instructions from the President of the Republic. It represents the start of a campaign that will be extended to all the main thoroughfares and public spaces. These types of the tree planting operation will continue every week with the aim of planting more than 5,000 trees in Djibouti City and Balbala. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Mohammed Ali Mohammed, chaired an important workshop to validate the behavioral survey on the seroprevalence of the HIV/AIDS among the population of Djibouti City and the population living in the 5 regions of the interior. The biological and behavioral surveillance survey on HIV and syphilis was carried out under the aegis of the priority health programs and AIDS control programs of the Ministry of Health, which support from the United Nations Development Program UNDP Health with the support of the UNDP and the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. The meeting was attended by the heads of the Ministries of Health Priority Health Programs, the head of the services of the Armed Forces, the Gendarmerie and the Police, the Djibouti Network of People Living with HIV and AIDS, and representative of the civil society. The Republic of Djibouti is a crossroad of trade and civilizations, and the population is not without risks of transmissions of infectious disease in general, HIV, AIDS in particular. The Ministry of Health combating malaria, training technicians and social mobilizer in indoor residual spraying in the commune of Bulaus as part of the organizations of the 4th indoor residual spraying campaign in the commune of Bulaus from 22 October to 21 November 2023. The Ministry of Health, through the Directorate of the Priority Health Programs, has stimulated simultaneously launched training sessions for the Ministry of Health technicians and social mobilizer. With the onset of the cool season, this event marks the start of a vast indoor spraying campaign that will be carried out in working class neighborhoods, particularly those identified as being as high risks of malaria as part of the vector control campaign. A total of 60 of the Ministry of Health technicians and around 100 social mobilizers received trainings in indoor residual spraying from 8 to 12 October 2023. This is the first campaign that the health department has carried out since the introductions of this new vector control technique, which has already proved its worth and whose effectiveness has been tested to and recognized by the communities themselves. On Friday, 13 October, the amphitheater of the French General Inspectorate and Education, Sports and Research in Paris was the venue of a meeting with the first group of students from the Lycée d'Excellence who had gone on an immersion course in the preparatory class of the Lycée Louis Le Grand in Paris, the Lycée Camille Guérin in Poitiers, and the Lycée Henri Poincaré in Nancy. This major event, organized in both face-to-face and virtual format, forms part of the bilateral cooperation between Djibouti and France and the development of the CPGA at the Lycée d'Excellence. On the Djiboutian side, the event brought together the Djiboutian Embassy in France, the Secretary General of MENFOB, the Inspectorate General, and the Lycée d'Excellence. On the French side, the Inspectorate General, the head of the delegations for European and international relations and cooperation, the regional academic delegation for European and international relations. The event opened with the signing of a partnership agreement between the Lycée Henri Poincaré in Nancy and the Lycée d'Excellence, thus concluding the partnership with the three partner schools of the Lycée d'Excellence. As part of the SI6 Trade Facilitation Agreement Program, the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, in collaboration with the World Trade Organization, organized on Thursday the closing ceremony of a self-evaluation workshop under the TFA, which began on 8 October and ended on Thursday, 12 October 2023 at Campus Key Hotel. This agreement, which came into force in February 2017, aims to simplify and harmonize customs and administrative procedures worldwide. Its ultimate aim is to reduce the cost and delays associated with the international trade, thereby facilitating the rapid and efficient movement of goods across borders. This reduction in trade barriers is essential for economic growth, job creation, and sustainable development in our region in general, and in our country in particular. The meeting was attended by the Senior Technical Advisor to the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Roble Jibril Sugal, and the representative of the relevant department. Colonel Wais Omar Boghorre, commander of the Djibouti Coast Guard, took part in the third forum of the on tourism security in the Arab world, organized by Qatar Ministry of Interior. This meeting provided an opportunity for all those involved in the tourism sector in the Arab world to share their experience in terms of tourism security, with the aim of supporting the development of this sector, which represents an opportunity for economic growth. During the forum, Colonel Wais Omar Boghorre had the opportunity to meet and discuss with His Excellency Bandar bin Fahd Al Fuhaid, President of the Arab Tourism Organization. In addition to his participation in this forum, the commander of the Coast Guard took the opportunity of this presence in Qatar to meet with the ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti in Qatar, Tayyib Dubad Roble. Two senior Qatari officials, Colonel Wais Omar Boghorre, had discussions with the Major General Nasser Jabor Al-Nuaimi, Director General of Qatar Coast Guard and Border Security, focusing on strengthening collaboration and cooperation between the two institutions. Key areas of cooperation identified including the sharing of expertise, experience, and training. In addition, the commander of the Djibouti Coast Guard held talks with the Major General Abdallah bin Hassan Al-Sulaiti. under the patronage of the President of the Regional Council of Arta, Ilmi Bouha, in the presence of the President of the NGO PLA. The conference room of the Regional Council hosted a training workshop in associative governance and local development project management on 5 and 6 October 2023. The training was especially designated to benefit associations in the Artas region that are members of the Forum of Association and non-governmental organizations. It forms part of the implementation of the project to structure and strengthen the technical capacity of the Djibouti CSO in the areas of advocacy, communication, and partnership in the sector of water, sanitation, and food security. This initiative was made possible thanks to the combined efforts of the NGO PLA, EUREKA consortiums as part of the MEFI PASOK program and was funded by the European Union. It was carried out entirely by competent national experts. Dakhel region inauguration ceremony for the Galamo underground tank construction project on Thursday. His Excellency Otsuka Umio, Ambassador of Japan to Djibouti, presided over the inauguration ceremony for the Galamo buried tank constructions project in the Dakhel region. It's an initiative supported by the Japanese government as part of its funding for community micro projects. The Japanese ambassador was warmly welcomed by the prefecture of the Dakhel region, Mr. Hassan Abdi Roble, in the presence of the president of the Dakhel Regional Council, Mahad Hussein Ahmed, and the head of the Dakhel Police Detachment. The delegation then headed to the site of the inauguration ceremony, where they were greeted warmly by the local population and the Galamo Youth Sport Cultural Association. The project sponsor, the underground water tank construction project funded by Japan, cover the localities of the Birlev, Barkarle, Galamo, and Koido in the Dakhel region. For his part, the Japanese ambassador Otsuka Umio said that the Japanese government is delighted to be making its contribution to improving the living conditions of the inhabitants of the Dakhel region and to strengthening the bonds of friendship between Japan and Djibouti. For his part, the prefect of Dakhel said, Mr. Hassan Abdi Roble said that this initiative will enable 87 households or around 470 beneficiaries to have easy access to drinking water, thereby improving the living conditions of the community. A multidisciplinary medical caravan led by the officials from the regional office of the NGO Ar-Rahma, the state of Kuwait, and comprising a group of 6 doctors from the Ar-Rahma Hospital visited the medical hospital center in the town of Obok yesterday to provide free consultations and health care to patients suffering from a variety of conditions. The initiative undertaken by the humanitarian organization Ar-Rahma International in collaboration with the Ministry of Health mobilized doctors from the Ar-Rahma Hospital to provide patients with free quality care. During the convoy, hundreds of people from the town of Obok benefited from the medical examination and consultations, while it was decided to transfer cases requiring surgery to Ar-Rahma Hospital in Djibouti. The event was attended by the prefect of the region, officials from the regional offices and Kuwait-based NGO Ar-Rahma, and the director of the Ar-Rahma complex, as well as the hospital's medical staff. The new 2023-2024 national football season kicked off yesterday afternoon at Hassan Guled Stadium. The first match of the day pitted 2 clubs against each other, namely the CFGRCF team and the former Hayablé club, which has changed its name to Academy Club Sportif CNSS. Also on the programs is a second match at 5 p.m. between Assas Djibouti Telecom and CF Gendarmerie. It was a high-level encounter that ended in a 1-1 draw between the CFG-RCF team and Academy Club of Sportifs NSS. The second match, Assas Djibouti Telecom overcame their opponents to score in the 85th minute. Concerning the regional scene, today is 14 October. 6 years ago, it was a sad day for the people of Somalia when 600 people were killed in one place. At least 1,000 were injured. That was in 2017. That was the general situation at that time. How has the situation changed since then, and what is the situation in Somalia today? In 2017, the Somali government was weak. The population was struggling with drought and with widespread poverty, and in addition to the slaughterous and economic extortions of the Khawarij, it can be said that the Somalis had great difficulties. The main activities in Somalia was to cut stones on the capital's main road. New troops were formed to save the nations. The Khawarij continued their activities on the back of the population. Today we can see a radical power changes the power of government, and it is better consolidated. The Somali nation is building its institutions and has the capacity to defend itself. The population is no longer subject to the dictate of Khawarij. The blood that was once shed by the Somali people is now shed daily by the Khawarij. Explosion is no longer rock the country's capital, Mogadishu. The situation is reversed, and it is now the Shabab who are being bombed on a regular basis. The government of the President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud has drawn up a program outlining a war plan to eliminate all terrorists from the countries in a short spaces of time, so that the Somali people can find peace and stability, as many of them have been oppressed. For the international scene, a week after the Palestinian attack, the Israeli army's strikes on Gaza continue to grow stronger and stronger. The war has already claimed more than 3,000 lives and displaced thousands on both sides. Thousands of Palestinians are fleeing through the devastated street of Gaza, hoping to find refuge further south of the Israeli army prepares for a ground offensive in Gaza. This is only the beginning of Israeli occupations in Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned on Fridays on the seventh day of the war, which was triggered by the Palestinian Islamist movement attacks on Israeli, and which has already claimed thousands of lives. On Friday, the Israeli army also announced that it had carried out ground incursions. The Palestinians have been living under Israeli operations for decades, particularly in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, where the blockade has persisted since 2007. Gaza is now completely blockaded. In the same way, collective punitive measures and the cutting off of all supplies to Gaza is a violation of international law. Nigeria, 100 bandits killed in airstrike. Airstrike is carried out on Tuesday by the Nigerian army, killed around 100 members of an armed criminal group in northwestern Nigeria, a region plagued by violence caused by gang of bandits. The Nigerian Air Force officially confirmed on Friday that it had carried out a bombardment in Zamfara state, but gave no details of the numbers of people killed. Northwestern of the central Nigeria have for years been plagued by violence from bandits who raid remote villages to kill and kidnap residents for ransom and burn down houses after looting. Combat aircraft have carried out airstrikes on the bandits. I am sure that more than 100 were killed, and nearly twice that numbers were seriously injured. The military officers involved in the operation. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.